Now that Affleck has connected to join forces with the WNBA, they're pretty much raising all of the contests money-wise. WNBA actually landed Caitlin Clark to take part in this event. That is the three-point contest. Yes. So they just announced that they will be altering how much prize money the player gets for taking part in the three-point contest.
Did Caitlin Clark just start a basketball revolution without saying a word? The rookie sensation reportedly turned down an invitation to the NBA All-Star three-point contest, and the sports world is losing its mind. This isn't just about missing a glorified exhibition, it's about a 22-year-old woman making a power move that's got everyone from LeBron to Skip Bayless weighing in. Let's break down what really happened, and why Clark choosing the WNBA over the NBA might be the biggest statement in women's sports this year. Hold up. Did Caitlin Clark really snub the NBA? Let's get our facts straight before everyone jumps to conclusions. The internet exploded with headlines claiming Clark turned down a massive opportunity, but what actually went down? The timeline here is absolutely critical. In February, rumors started swirling that the NBA was eyeing Clark for their All-Star Weekend three-point contest. Sports media outlets picked up the story, and within hours, it was everywhere. Clark had supposedly been invited and then rejected the NBA's offer. Social media went crazy, with fans and commentators immediately taking sides without knowing the full picture. But here's where things get interesting. Almost immediately after these reports gained traction, Clark's management team at XL Sports Management jumped into action. They didn't wait days or even hours. They contacted The Athletic right away to set the record straight. Their statement completely flipped the narrative. There was no formal invitation that Clark had rejected. You can't decline something you were never actually offered.
And for Affleck to be the first ones to kind of step up and help these women earn more money, I'm excited about it. This is the first time anything like this has ever took place in the WNBA. We know this league has not ever really had that much sponsorship. The money tip ain't really ever been about anything.
The difference between these two scenarios is massive. Think about it. Being invited to something prestigious and saying no thanks sends a completely different message than never receiving an official invitation in the first place. It's like claiming someone stood up their date when they never actually agreed to go out. The whole snub angle falls apart when you realize there wasn't anything to snub in the first place. What's super weird about this whole situation is the NBA's silence. If they had extended an invitation that got rejected, why wouldn't they just clarify that? And if they hadn't made any formal offer, why not shut down the rumors? Their lack of comment only fueled more speculation and allowed the narrative to spiral out of control. It's almost like they benefited from the publicity without having to commit to anything. When we look at precedent, the NBA has occasionally invited non-NBA players to participate in All-Star Weekend events before, but these crossovers are rare and usually carefully orchestrated. There's no established pattern of WNBA players competing in NBA All-Star events, which makes the whole situation even more unusual. If Clark had participated, it would have been groundbreaking, but that makes the lack of official communication about the invitation even more suspicious. The real damage happened when social media got hold of the story. Within hours, what started as reports about a potential invitation morphed into definitive statements about Clark turning down or rejecting the NBA. Screenshots of headlines spread faster than the actual articles, and context got completely lost. People formed strong opinions based on incomplete information, creating a false narrative that took on a life of its own. So what was Clark's actual reasoning according to her representatives? This is where things get really interesting. Her management team made it crystal clear Clark wasn't rejecting the NBA out of disrespect or fear of competition. Instead, she had her sights set on making her first three-point contest appearance at the WNBA All-Star Game happening that summer in Indianapolis. It wasn't about saying no to the NBA, it was about prioritizing and showing commitment to her own league. That's a completely different story than what was initially reported. Instead of the negative framing of a snub, this was actually Clark making a strategic decision to support the WNBA. By planning to participate in the WNBA's event, rather than appearing as a novelty act at the NBA's weekend, she was sending a clear message about where her priorities lie, with the league she actually plays in. Think about how different the public reaction would have been if the initial headlines had read, "Clark prioritizes WNBA All-Star participation," instead of implying she'd rejected the NBA. The entire controversy might never have happened, or at least would have taken on a completely different tone. While everyone was busy arguing about Clark's supposed snub, a financial earthquake was silently reshaping the entire WNBA landscape. The headlines totally missed the 60,000 reasons behind her decision. Let me break this down for you. Aflac didn't just show up with a regular sponsorship. They brought life-changing money that makes the WNBA All-Star competition suddenly worth prioritizing over anything else. You want to know what's crazy? Winners of the WNBA three-point contest and skills challenge used to walk away with a pathetic $2,500. That's it, $2,500 for being the best shooter in the entire women's league. Most NBA players spend more than that on a single dinner. This ridiculous prize money situation has been the reality for WNBA players for years, forcing them to take overseas contracts just to make a decent living. But everything just changed. A FLAC has completely transformed the financial game for these competitions. The three-point contest winner now getting $60,000. The skills competition, $55,000. That's not just a little bump. We're talking about a massive 2,300% increase. This isn't just throwing a few extra bucks at the women's game. It's a complete revolution in how these competitions are valued. Here's what makes this so huge. These prize amounts now match exactly what NBA players receive for winning the same competitions. For the first time ever, WNBA players are competing for equal prize money as their male counterparts in all-star events. That's not just a nice bonus, it's a massive statement about equality in professional basketball. Tiara Jackson from the WNBPA perfectly captured what this means when she said, "AFLAC stands with our players when it matters most, sending a powerful message that they are seen, they are valued, and they are worth investing in." Think about that for a second. After years of WNBA players being undervalued and underpaid, a major company is finally saying these athletes deserve the same compensation as the men. The impact of this financial injection can't be overstated. For most WNBA players, winning one of these competitions now represents a significant portion of their annual salary. The prize money alone could be worth more than what many players make in months of regular season play. When you're a rookie like Clark coming into the league, looking at the financial reality of women's basketball, seeing this kind of investment is game-changing. So now let's think about Clark's decision again. Would you rather be a side attraction at the NBA event where you're essentially there as a novelty act, or would you rather compete in your own league's All-Star weekend for exactly the same amount of money, where winning actually means something for the growth of women's basketball? When you look at it that way, Clark's choice becomes crystal clear. For Clark, supporting a partner who's actually investing real money in women's basketball makes infinitely more sense than being tokenized at the men's event. Her participation in the WNBA All-Star weekend sends a powerful message. I believe in the future of this league, and I'm going to be part of building it up. This isn't just about one player or one weekend. It's about the entire economic future of women's basketball. AFLAC's investment shows that sponsors are starting to see real value in women's sports, and they're willing to put serious money behind that belief. For the WNBA, which has struggled for years to attract major corporate dollars, this partnership represents a potential turning point. When a rookie like Clark, who's already one of the most marketable athletes in America, chooses to prioritize the WNBA competition that now offers equal prize money, she's making a statement about where she sees the future of basketball. She's betting on her own league rather than chasing the spotlight at an NBA event. So was Clark's decision really about priorities, scheduling conflicts, or making some kind of statement against the NBA? Maybe there's a much simpler explanation. Follow the money. When the financial incentives for staying in your own league suddenly match what the men's league offers, the decision becomes a no-brainer. Clark is making a smart business decision while simultaneously supporting the growth of women's basketball. Making smart money moves should be universally celebrated, right? Not for Caitlin Clark. Her decision to prioritize the WNBA events instead of being a novelty at the NBA All-Star weekend created a sports world civil war that exposed something we rarely talk about: the impossible tightrope women athletes walk every single day. The second this story broke, fans and commentators instantly chose sides, and their reactions revealed way more about our sports culture than anyone expected. Take a look at social media after the news dropped. Half the comments praised Clark as a visionary leader putting women's basketball first. Finally, someone standing up for the WNBA and not just chasing NBA clout. But flip to the other side and you'd think Clark had committed some cardinal sin against basketball. She's clearly scared to compete against NBA shooters, or why turn down the bigger stage unless you're afraid? The contrast was stunning, the exact same business decision viewed as either courageous or cowardly depending on who you asked. What's really wild is how Clark couldn't win either way. Think about it. If she had accepted a hypothetical NBA invitation, critics would have accused her of abandoning the WNBA or seeking male validation. When she prioritized women's basketball instead, she faced accusations of ducking competition. It's that classic double bind that follows female athletes everywhere. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The silence from NBA players throughout this controversy spoke volumes too. While the research doesn't highlight specific player comments, that very absence tells its own story. Most stayed conspicuously quiet, possibly avoiding the political minefield that commenting would create. Imagine being an NBA player trying to weigh in on this. Say something supportive of Clark, and you might face backlash from traditionalists. Criticize her decision, and you risk being labeled as dismissive of women's sports. So many just opted out of the conversation entirely. Meanwhile, the sports media machine was working overtime. You know how figures like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless operate. Strong opinions first, complete facts. Well, sometimes. While specific quotes weren't provided in our research, these personalities typically frame stories in ways that maximize debate rather than understanding. Their coverage likely amplified the controversy, turning a straightforward scheduling and financial decision into something far more contentious and meaningful than it actually was. The reaction split went beyond just fans and media. Women athletes from other sports were watching closely too. Though specific examples aren't mentioned in our research, this kind of situation typically creates ripples of solidarity across women's sports. Female athletes know firsthand the scrutiny their decisions face compared to male counterparts. A simple scheduling choice by a male athlete rarely triggers worldwide debate about his character, courage, or commitment to his sport. But the fan reactions, that's where the real story lives. Reading between the lines, you could see decades of gender bias playing out in real time. Comments questioning Clark's competitive spirit or suggesting she was hiding from NBA shooters revealed something deeper. The persistent belief that women's sports are inherently inferior, that the ultimate validation comes only from competing alongside men. On the flip side, supporters who championed her choice showed a growing segment of fans who value women's sports on their own merits and understand the importance of investing in their growth. This divided reaction isn't just about Clark, it's a mirror reflecting how we still view women in sports in 2024. Female athletes face constant pressure to legitimize themselves against male standards while simultaneously being criticized if they seek those comparisons. They're expected to grow their sports, but often denied the resources to do so. They're scrutinized for business decisions that would be considered smart when made by male athletes. The controversy perfectly illustrates the no-win scenario. Prioritize your own league? You're accused of fear. Seek crossover opportunities with men. You're abandoning your responsibilities to grow women's sports. Meanwhile, male athletes make similar decisions daily without their courage or character being questioned. Beyond the headlines and hot takes is a story much bigger than a weekend event. What we're witnessing with Clark's decision could represent the beginning of the WNBA breaking free from the NBA's shadow. With major sponsorship deals flooding in and crucial CBA negotiations approaching, Clark's priorities might signal the start of a financial transformation that changes women's basketball forever. Think about what's really happening here. Clark isn't just making a personal schedule choice. She's positioning herself at the center of a movement where the WNBA establishes its own identity. In one timeline, the WNBA continues as the little sister league, sending its best players to NBA events for validation and visibility. In the other timeline, the one Clark seems to be choosing, the W stands firmly on its own foundation, building something that doesn't need men's approval to be legitimate. This timing couldn't be more critical. The WNBA is heading into major CBA negotiations that will determine player salaries and league economics for years to come. The new media rights deals with Disney, Amazon, NBC Universal, CBS, and ION are completely reshaping the financial landscape. When the biggest rookie star in league history makes it clear she's prioritizing WNBA events, that sends a powerful message right when players need maximum leverage. You know what's fascinating? Clark didn't need to say a word to make this statement. By simply choosing to participate in her own league's showcase, showcase rather than crossing over, she communicated volumes about where she believes the future of women's basketball lies. She's essentially telling sponsors, networks, and fans, the real action is happening here in the W, not as a sideshow in the men's game. The numbers back this up. WNBA viewership is skyrocketing, merchandise is flying off shelves, and corporate sponsors are finally taking notice. Clark's Indiana Fever debut against the Connecticut Sun averaged 2.1 million viewers on ESPN, making it the most watched WNBA game on the network in 23 years. Sponsors aren't just testing the waters anymore, they're diving in with serious cash. And here's where Clark's decision gets even smarter from a leadership perspective. By choosing the WNBA three-point contest over the NBA version, she's redirecting all that Clark Mania attention back to her league. Every camera that would have followed her at NBA All-Star Weekend will now be pointed at the WNBA event instead. That's not just good for her, it's brilliant for elevating every player who shares that stage with her. This creates a fascinating ripple effect for the next generation. College stars watching this unfold are seeing something unprecedented, a rookie with the power to choose the WNBA first and still maintain her cultural relevance. For years, the narrative was that women's basketball players needed men's basketball for legitimacy and exposure. Clark is flipping that script entirely. Imagine you're a top college prospect right now. The economics of women's basketball are transforming before your eyes. You're seeing AFLAC put up NBA-level prize money for WNBA skills competitions. You're watching broadcast deals multiply in value. You're seeing Clark maintain her massive popularity while prioritizing her own league. Suddenly, the WNBA doesn't look like a career sacrifice. It looks like a genuine destination with serious financial upside. The executive of the WNBPA, Tiara Jackson, captured this perfectly when she said, "AFLAC stands with our players when it matters most, sending a powerful message that they are seen, they are valued, and they are worth investing in." This isn't just about one sponsorship, it's about creating a complete ecosystem where women's basketball thrives independently. What makes this potential turning point so significant is the convergence of star power, money, and timing. Clark arrives as the most hyped rookie in WNBA history, just as corporate America seems ready to invest seriously in women's sports. Meanwhile, the league is approaching CBA negotiations with unprecedented bargaining power. Clark's decision to prioritize the WNBA becomes a symbolic cornerstone in this foundation-building moment. Remember that before we saw equal prize money at the All-Star competitions, WNBA players competed for just $2,500. The astronomical jump to $60,000 didn't happen by accident. It happened because companies like AFLAC recognize the untapped value in women's basketball. Clark is betting that this is just the beginning, not an exception. Consider what this means 5 years from now if the trend continues. A WNBA where top players earn salaries that keep them from needing to play overseas in the offseason. Broadcast deals that put games on primetime slots with production values equal to the NBA. And most importantly, a league that attracts and retains top talent because the economics finally make sense. So here's the bottom line. What we've seen with Caitlin Clark isn't some NBA snub, it's a calculated decision to elevate women's basketball at a pivotal moment. The new media rights deals with Disney, Amazon, and NBC are about to change everything for player compensation. When AFLAC stepped up with equal prize money, Clark's choice became crystal clear. Her first three-point contest belongs to the WNBA. This rookie is using her star power to grow her own league rather than being a sideshow attraction elsewhere. It's about building something lasting, not grabbing a quick spotlight. What do you guys think about this down in the comments section?